Good morning from the oldest megacity on Earth. Where you're waking, there are no streets, no roads, not even a door. To leave your home, you reach for a ladder and climb up, out through a hole in your own ceiling, until you're standing on the rooftops of the whole city. Almost 10,000 people live here. Not one of them has a king, not one of them has a temple. And last night, just beneath the bed you slept on, buried under the floor, you slept above the dead. This is Çatalhöyük, humanity's first real attempt at a city. And today, we're going to live a single day inside it. Because here, almost everything is the opposite of what you know. The city is a honeycomb, houses pressed wall to wall, back to back, with not a single passage between them. And in an age when most people still lived in little bands of a few dozen, this hive holds maybe 10,000 souls, one of the largest gatherings of human beings the world had ever seen. By today's eye, a small town. By the eye of its own time, an impossible metropolis. This is why we call it the first city. People move from home to home across the rooftops. The roofs are the street, the square, and the marketplace all at once. So why did no one build a single street? Maybe this is the strongest answer. If you build a city with no way in, you build a city no one can take. From the outside, Çatalhöyük is one solid wall. No gates, no windows on the ground. Where would an enemy even begin? You pull the ladders up, and the city seals itself shut. Whether that was the real reason, defense, or equality, or something we'll never recover we still argue about it. You climb back down into a dim, smoky half-light. There's no chimney. The smoke from the hearth escapes through the same hole you entered by, staining the walls black. And yet every few weeks, those walls are washed white again with fresh plaster. So how do you live down here? You eat bread from a clay oven, wheat, barley, and lentils from the fields. You keep sheep and goats, and you still hunt. Your water comes from the river and the marsh nearby. And in the dry season, water is everything. And the things no one tells you about the first city, the toilet, the rubbish, the home, is kept spotless. Waste is carried out to great heaps at the edge of the settlement, middens. And from those ancient garbage piles, archaeologists still rid their meals, their sicknesses, their lives. No bathroom, no sewer, but a system, the living space clean, the waste outside. Now for the part we left unexplained. That raised platform you slept on, along the wall. Your ancestors are lying beneath it. The people of Çatalhöyük did not bury their dead in some far-off cemetery. They buried them inside the house under the very floor where they slept, curled tight like a child before birth. Death was not kept at a distance. It lived under the same roof. And sometimes they went further. They would lift a skull from the grave, coat it in plaster, and model a face back onto the bone. Then pass it down, hand to hand, for generations. Your grandmother, long after death, was still part of the household. And in this city, who you are may have come down through your mother. In 2024, scientists read the DNA of 131 people buried here. Inside a single house, they were tied most often through the female line. And those female lineages held for 1,000 years, the opposite of the patriarchal world rising in Europe at the very same time. We're careful here. No one is saying women ruled, but this looks like a woman-centered world, traced through the mother, and the picture is still coming into focus. And then there's the figurine everyone knows, a heavy woman seated on a throne, a leopard beneath each hand. Some call her a mother goddess. Others say an ancestor, a sign of status, maybe just a woman. We don't know, but for thousands of years, that small clay figure carried the weight of the feminine in this land. But here is the part that breaks the picture. We assume a house holds a family, people born of the same blood. Here, often it did not. Many of those buried under a single roof were not related by birth at all. They had been taken in, raised together, chosen. This family home, with its ancestors sleeping in the floor, was held together by something other than blood, a kind of belonging the first city seems to have invented, and we never even gave a name. Look at the walls of the home, and the walls look back. Real bull horns jut straight out of the plaster, bucrania, set into the clay, painted red. The bull here is power, and it is death. And the strangest image of all, on some walls, vultures sweep down onto headless human bodies. A few researchers read it like this, that before they buried their dead, the people here may have laid them out in the open for the vultures, the birds stripping the flesh in hours, leaving the bone clean. A kind of sky burial. The evidence is indirect and argued over, and everywhere. Leopards, hunter, guardian, power. On one wall, a strange painting. Below, something like a grid, a town plan seen from above. Above it, a twin-peaked mountain throwing out sparks. James Mellart read it as the oldest map in the world, and an erupting volcano, Hassan Da. If he is right, it's the first time a human being ever drew the world from above. The science half agrees. The volcano nearby really did erupt around 9,000 years ago, but other experts say it's no map at all, only a leopard skin and a geometric pattern. Maybe a map, maybe art. Either way, it is the urge of a mind to draw what it has seen onto a wall. At the end of the day, you pull the ladders up and the city closes. And think about this. These people lived together, my choice, with no king, no army, no temple, no obvious master. For 1,500 years, one of the longest experiments in equality in all of human history. But it had a cost. Crowding, sickness, and violence. A quarter of the skulls show healed fractures, the blows peaking when the city was most packed. And then around 6,000 years ago, the city was quietly left behind. Did the climate turn, or did the equality crack from the inside? We don't know. What's left is a mound beneath our feet. Homes built on homes on homes, ancestors beneath the homes and between them, the first whisper of a civilization. And Çatalhöyük was not alone. More than 1,000 years before it, hunter-gatherers raised the giant carved stones of Göbekli Tepe. Just over the hills, its sister site Karahan Tepe is still rising out of the ground. The first temples, the first towns, the first gods. They are buried across this one corner of the world, waiting. We'll walk them one by one. But let me ask you something. With no king, no door, sleeping under the same roof as your dead, would you have lived in Çatalhöyük? Would all that equality, all that closeness have felt like peace? Or like too much? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know. Good night. From the oldest city on earth, I'm June. Closing time at the hour.